Impact on Your Health is sponsored by Dennis J. Courtney, M.D., Director of the Courtney Medical Group, located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray, Pennsylvania. For more information or to make an appointment, call 724-942-3002. That's 724-942-3002 for Dennis J. Courtney, M.D.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to AIM Impact on Your Health. AIM Impact on Your Health, where every day our goal is to have you learn at least one thing to help you live better and longer. AIM Impact on Your Health is heard each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney, and I'm with you each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9. AIM Impact on Your Health, where each day you'll find current medical news, knowledgeable guests, and fascinating health topics. And of course, we always encourage you to call in to join in today. Well, it is a Friday version of the show, folks, and weekend, a little rain on Sunday, I'm told. But today, tomorrow, not too bad. Enjoy it while you can. Nice and cool out there. Things are going to heat up around here today. It is a get 'em up out of town version of the show, as we always try to do. On a Friday, we'd like you to call in and set the agenda, get things off your chest, questions that build up, comments in either form. It's certainly acceptable here. The number to do that, as you should well know by now, 412-825-6262. That's 418-825-6262. Now, we started a big topic here on Wednesday. I kicked off the show by saying, okay, today's topic will be, there is only one cause for cancer, and I think I went set out to prove that there is only one cause for cancer. I will, for those of you who missed the show, sort of fill in those gaps, because I may be shocking you right now. But today, the absolute necessary follow-up to that show is there's only one way to prevent it. We're going to get into this one way in, one way out of one of the biggest disease processes going, and I'll talk to you about that right after the first break. You'll want to pay attention to the way, the only way, the absolutely only way that you can assure yourself that you will never get a cancer. Pretty heavy words, but I promise you, science will back that up. Just give me the opportunity to bring it to you. Now, as this month moves on, we're just about at that midway point. On Monday, we resume our list of guests. Doug Inglesby will be with us. He's been with us many times before. He is a company, All One. It is one of the first, well, it claims to be the first company to ever have high potency, that word potency vitamins. This dates all the way back until the 1950s and 1960s. The family is very well known in the industry, and Doug Inglesby has been a great spokesman for the company. He's going to be talking about our low-cal diet's driving you crazy. Dieting, my goodness gracious. And low-cal certainly is one of the approaches that has been taken. Let's see what he has to say about it. On Wednesday, Lonnie Birmingham's going to be here. She's going to be talking about heat. Isn't it odd when we really needed her, like last month, and the heat was on, and we were, we were in the high 90s and tipping over to triple digits. We didn't have her then. Well, remember that time. It could occur. August is one of those months where we can expect to have things really heat up, and we're in a little chill zone right now. But heat, the number one killer of all weather hazards, is our topic through Lonnie, and she'll be with us on Wednesday of next week. In the following week, we'll have Roland Thomas with us. He is the CEO of a company called BioAge. It's a collaborative effort between himself and a very famous Soviet scientist. You've met him, actually. We had him on our show. Had difficulty with some language issues because he's Russian, he learned French, and is coming along with his English. But Roland Thomas speaks the language extremely well, and he represents the concept of the genius from within extremely well. The book written by himself and Michael Kiriak on this interesting, fascinating, one-of-a-kind supplement. I call it the all-in-one supplement. because it has every single possible nutrient that one could ask for in any supplement regime, and it all rolls into one. And besides that, it's a plant source, it's organic, and it's fully assimilable. We'll deal with the BAC, bioengineered algae concentrates, with Roland on the 22nd. Then we're getting on the 25th. There is some interest. We're getting a lot of phone calls from you all. You're responding. MCG testing is now back in this office. It kicks off again with an entire list of people that the 25th of August is filled. I'm mentioning it to you because we have a second date that still has a couple of slots open. That's MCG testing for September 8th. Now, you just need to know that this is a unique, very non-invasive way of finding out what the status of your coronary arteries are. Turns out everybody's interested. You should be interested too, to find out if you could do so without such doggone risk as would be associated with the only other way I know of to find that out, and that is through the full use of a full-blown cardiac catheterization, which no one ever wants anybody to have. And so we could get that same information in a different way. This unique electronic device is a 6-minute testing device, which, while lying on the bed with little clips around the ankles and the wrists, and one lead that's swung off the left side of the chest, in 6 minutes actually tests you 5 different times, once every 82 seconds, and then takes that information and allows us to have your 166 data points that were being assessed during this 6-minute run, then send that information off to be compared to a database of 42,000 plus patients, each one of which have had not only the MCG test, but they actually have the cardiac cath itself, with varying degrees of diseases found, of coronary disease found. They're able to compare the assessment of your data points and compare them to their data points and have a very high, effective, and accurate way of determining what the status of your coronary arteries are. Jerry Singleton has been brought to the show many times to explain it to you. This is an insurance-covered issue. You don't want to miss this opportunity, folks. Finding out what the status of your coronary arteries are is extremely important. But then even more so, I think why I get so excited about MCG testing and being able to bring it to you is once we know what the status of your blood vessels are, and your coronaries in particular, then we have protocols here. We have approaches to take to absolutely turn that situation around. I say that this is probably a blemish in the conventional medical world, who now has a test that in a non-invasive way can give you some pretty interesting results. And then once given those results, literally has not a thing to do to change the course of the disease. Of course, remember the humorous story where Jerry Singleton, when he was at my office one day and we were actually doing the testing, came and asked me what I do him a favor. And I said, what is that, Jerry? What do you want me to do? He goes, well, we're starting to do testing in this other doctor's office, and she is now going over these test results on how people did with the patients who took the test. And I go, yes. She goes, and she is calling me because she doesn't know what to tell them to do about it. Could you please give her a call and help her out? And I said, well, Jerry, I'd be more than happy to speak to her, but I told you so, Jerry. I told you, and I did tell her that this test is so sophisticated that conventional doctors won't know what to do when they get these testing results because, well, they just don't have any real advice on how to change the results. MCG testing now back with us, folks, and give us a call to get signed up for the next round. You could have never had the test before and want to be getting your first test done now, or you could be in that large group of people who, since February, when we first brought the device to the office, actually did undergo MCG testing based on the disease component that was determined to exist. They were put in categories of either one of three categories. Either they could repeat the test in 1 year, meaning things were going really well for them, and they didn't have much disease. If they had a moderate amount of disease, they could repeat the test in 6 months. And if they had a pretty good and fair amount of disease, they could repeat it in 3. The insurance company would pay for it. I'm anxious to see how these repeat testings are going, and I, of course, will report them back to you. Knock on the door. Come on in the store. Hello and welcome aboard. What's on your mind? Hello.
Hello, Dr. Courtney.
Oh, yeah.
Hi. I just had a quick question regarding the fish oil thing.
Oh, yeah.
I guess my big question in the back of my head is if Edward Kane knew this pretty close to 1994,
Yes.
I guess he wanted to validate it a little bit with other research, but I guess my question is, why didn't he come with this information earlier? In other words, he was on your show at least 4 or 5 different times, on different subjects, but if what he's saying is true, that the imbalance is dangerous, and omega-3 from fish is dangerous, then even though he didn't have his own product yet, we could have at least kind of done it for ourselves where we included more of the omega-6s from the plants. Why didn't he come forward with it sooner?
Well, let me say this much, and I can understand why, and it's a very appropriate comment, but let's just say this. Ed Kane, in 1994, was already working in the realm of assessing fatty acid analysis on patients and replacing good fats and getting rid of bad fats. He, in 1994, I think you heard him say, literally was dancing around his kitchen with his wife Patricia when Yehuda came out with that very famous article now. And by 1995, they absolutely had the product. They've been manufacturing it ever since. Now, your criticism, actually, and I will step up and I'll take the hit for it. He's been on my show many times. And when I first met Ed, you cannot meet Ed and Patricia Kane without, in the first hour, learning about 4-to-1 oil, about Yehuda's work. And so, about 5 years ago now, when I first ran into Ed and Patricia Kane, I was made aware of the 4-to-1 oil and that fish oils could be harmful. But it was my choice not to bring that information to you because I didn't see the corroboration by other scientists. And so it wasn't Ed Kane that held back.
Oh, okay.
It was good old me saying, hey, I have Yehuda. He published. It looks like he's really stumbled on something amazing here, but where is the corroboration? And so I held back. I didn't feel that until I absolutely saw that corroboration that it was appropriate to come in and make blockbuster statements like fish oil will kill you, or darn near, I guess I've said it that way, and fish oil absolutely is extremely harmful. Before I was ready to reveal that, I needed to make certain that the science was there to back me up, not just one scientist, but multiple. Will you accept my apology for holding back?
No, I just wanted to know. Oh, so this product, this specific product you're speaking of, has been around since
1995.
95. Okay.
So he published in 94. And by the way, they were using oils to treat fatty acid abnormalities, but they were using either the primrose or the flax, and depending if it was David Harabin, that was the gentleman who suggested you should treat everything with primrose. And if it was Rudin, that gentleman said you should be treating everything with flax. Well, heck, there was no science to back it up. These were intelligent people, but they just were coming out with their assumptions and no science to back it up. It was Yehuda that cleared all the doubt out about what the ratios were and what the fats needed to be. And since 1994, Edward Kane has fallen right in line. He's the only company in the world that really manufactures this product, and he's been doing it since 1995. So
After taking a product, you know, Dr. Miller, I was first introduced to Body Bio from him about 4 or 5 years ago when he had it's choline. It's the phosphatidylcholine, phosphatidylnitrile.
Well, yeah, you're now talking about the other well-known contribution.
So it does say on the bottom of the bottle a 4-to-1 ratio, but it might be a different type of ratio than what his fish oil is. But
no, if it said 4-to-1 in that bottle, you're looking at the original project. But phosphatidylcholine and glutathione, if you can remember the shows we've done, and boy, you're really showing your expertise on how well you followed this topic with Dr. Miller, who's been much aware of phosphatidylcholine. But
yeah.
This is how Patricia Kane goes about treating. The PK protocol utilizes phosphatidylcholine as a membrane solvent. It literally flies through the cell membrane, and whatever is placed on its back gets into the cell in order to correct anomalies within the cell. And the thing that they usually use in a PK protocol is glutathione. So I take the question as a very appropriate one. I'll take the responsibility for not revealing this earlier. I needed more science.
Yeah.
I've got the science, and today I answered the second half of the question, how do you prevent, and the only way that you can prevent cancer, and you're going to find out the role that fats play in that. So stay tuned, and I'll let out with the second part of that two-part item. Only one way to get cancer, consequently, only one way to prevent it.
And one more quick question, if I could. You know, I always want to call him Frank Sinatra. You know Steven Sinatra, the heart?
Well, I don't know him personally, but I know him, yes.
Well, he seems to be a researcher and really into this pro-cardiovascular health with nutrition.
Yes.
And I wonder what his, he always kind of wants also professional input, what his thing is, because I know he's big into the omega-3 from fish oil.
You're going to be finding that the big supporters, and I have to raise my hand, I was one of them, of omega-3s and fish oils. These numbers are going to be dwindling because once it's up, once the gig is up, and once this starts circulating, and there are other investigators now traveling around. I happened to catch a gentleman by the name of Brian Peskin. I mention his name because he's a electrical engineer from MIT who's lecturing doctors at no lesser a group than A4M, the most prestigious group of alternative doctors in the world, and he's blasting them with exactly what I've blasted you with. Fish oils are harmful. And so it won't be too much longer before you begin to see a prestigious gentleman like Steven Sinatra learn that he can't promote the use of fish oils any longer. This is just starting to circulate and permeate throughout the medical community in the circles that I travel. So you watch. They'll be falling in line. You just heard it first here.
Okay. And one more thing, sorry. There's really good evidence of that black currant seed oil. I don't know if you've heard that with bilberry using it. I don't know if that's considered a fatty acid from plants, but that one's a good one, black currant seed oil.
Well, all these seeds have oils that can be helpful. In fact, whenever Ed and Patricia are treating neurological diseases, they will use mixtures depending on how far they have to take somebody's abnormal fatty acid content and swing it to normal. So there is a need in the therapeutic realm, but in terms of a supplement, I hope the message is clear, at least coming from me. Fish oils are now out. I apologize. I was in the bandwagon for them, like sort of Dr. Sinatra, I guess, still is. But science has had to rule today, and now we know the ratio is 4 to 1. Okay?
Thank you. Have a nice weekend.
Absolutely, you too. Wonderful questions, and from you know who. Are you surprised? No, I'm not either. All right, folks. Let's take a short break. In the interim, get ready for part dose of the double whammy. First, okay, if there's only one way that cancer can actually occur, then there's got to be only one way to correct it. I'll review part 1, and then I'll give you the information for part 2 on how to prevent it, and then you may have some questions for me. Be back in a moment.
This is Dennis J. Courtney, MD. Have you become confused about how best to manage your health? It's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has yet another suggestion for you to follow that seems to be reasonable enough, but no matter how dutifully you follow the instructions, it just doesn't quite produce the results that you are looking for. If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Complementary Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion based on a blending of traditional and alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition testing, immune system repair, natural hormone replacement therapy, chelation therapy, cutting-edge allergy correction, and a host of other safe and effective alternative therapies.
Dennis J. Courtney, M.D., is located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray. Phone 724-942-3002.
Want to help your family eat healthier? Instead of learning to disguise tofu in wondrous ways, how about some real nutritional power? If your family has the typical American palate for fries, pizza, and burgers, giving your family the blessing of good nutrition is a struggle. Fruit of the Spirit is the answer for your family's nutritional needs. Fruit of the Spirit is an all-natural, whole fruit puree made from fresh fruits native to the Holy Land with alkalizing minerals. Fruit of the Spirit was 5 years in the formulation, the work of a team of top nutritional experts with independent science to confirm its antioxidant power. 1 ounce a day provides the equivalent of 5 servings of fruits and minerals. Fruit of the Spirit is convenient, affordable, and delicious. Even your picky family will sing the praises of Fruit of the Spirit. Give your loved ones the blessing of good nutrition. Call 1-800-442-3793 for a special promotional offer. Fruit of the Spirit, a blessing for your good health. That's 1-800-442-3793. Call them now, 1-800-442-3793.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to AIM Impact on Your Health. Heard here in KHB 620 each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney with you today on a Friday version of the show. It is a get 'em up out of town version. You can call in at any moment and get off your chest whatever's bothering you. The pressure will build up over the weekend if you don't relieve that pressure now. So the number to do that is 412-825-6262. I'll listen for a knock on the door, and I promise to let you in the store. By the way, we've got a knock. Let's open the door. Come on in the store. What's on your mind? Go right ahead.
Let's get ready to rumble. Dr. Courtney, it's Danville.
Danville, how in the heck have you been, Danville? It's been a few months since we've heard from you.
Yeah, probably 3 months. Let's see. No more tachycardia. My neck still hurts, and but it doesn't seem to be getting any whatever. My kids are driving me nuts. They're going back to school this week.
Yeah.
And I found it interesting. I got my weight back up to about 167, but I'm back on the way down. I discovered a deal based on the sense of smell, and it makes you feel more satiated. It's kind of like a little pen. And it's the weirdest thing, and you sniff it, and no, it's got nothing, bad in it, whatever.
I'm familiar with that pen. It's a peppermint.
Oh, you know, it's called a diet pen.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it. Yes.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Look, come on. I travel. I get around.
I met a gentleman who's a PhD who invented this deal, and whatever. But I'm using it, and so far, everybody thinks I'm nuts. But I mean, you used the Dr. Simeon deal, right?
Well, Dr.
Well, no, you were sick for like 8 months too. So.
Yeah, no, we're talking about HCG. That was and still is, by the way, a very good way for people to lose large amounts of weight and literally do it on a starvation diet. It's pretty harsh. It's pretty brash, but some people prefer to lose this amount of weight in big chunks. But what you're asking for...
150, because it says my perfect weight should be about 148, but at 5'4", but I was checking on some insurance, and the lady says, no, if you're below 170 and you're maybe 10, 12 pounds, 15 whatever weight, but that's not that much.
All right. Have you been listening to our shows, by the way?
Some of them, yeah. I have not heard. I got them on the internet, of course, but yeah,
well,
what happened?
Well, I'll tell you what. We're in smack dab in the middle of a controversy. and the revelations about things like fish oil. Are you familiar? You've heard any of those shows recently?
No, but I know.
Oh, you got to catch up. See, Danville, go catch up. We're in the middle of revealing such important information that, not to trivialize your weight issues, but I want to tell you.
Oh, no, I'm not. No, I'm 165. I lost 2 pounds in the last 2 days.
All right.
You know.
Danville, I want you to keep up sniffing that pen.
Okay.
I want you to get to fighting weight, and of course the nicest thing that's going to happen to you is September's going to roll around and all your kids are going to go back to school. You're going to find that you're going to need less of the Valium by that time.
No, I'm not taking that.
But stay tuned, stay listening. Go back to the internet, listen to recent shows. There's some real important scientific information that we're revealing now, and you'll just want to be a part of it, Danville. And call us up when you're.
You mean are they saying fish oil is working or it's not working?
Oh, if fish oil, how about this one? I'll just leave you with this one. Get to your internet, dial us up. Fish oil will kill you, my friend.
Now fish oil will kill you?
Ah, see? It's surprising you. You got to catch up. Get to the internet. Go ahead now, all right?
Thanks, Doc.
Absolutely. It's Danville checking in, telling us about his weight. I say, anything that's on your mind, and Danville, it's on his mind, folks. 412-825-6262. I will wait for that knock at the door. Let's come back to this big topic. There's none bigger on the issue of cancer. Let's sort of rehash to the point that we left this with on Wednesday. You know, about 6 weeks ago, we finally did pull the wraps off the issue with the fish oil. That was what the conversation began as. A unveiling of the fact that fish oil is very hazardous to your health. And right along with that, we told you that the appropriate way now, and Dr. Yehuda and his famous scientific work of 1994 did give us the appropriate way to take fatty acids in a ratio of 4-to-1 of omega-6s to omega-3s. And not only did he tell us that it should be omega-6 to omega-3s, he told us what the parent compound is for each one of the two. The omega-6 you need to supplement with the basement parent product, which is either primrose oil or sunflower oil. And inside of the omega-3, you need to supplement with alpha-linolenic acid, which is the basement and parent compound there is flaxseed oil, in a mixture of 4-to-1. So, as our earlier caller had mentioned, this is information that's been out now for 16 years. Yet we're only bringing it to you most recently because I think the science now is irrefutable. You cannot say, oh, this is a Dr. Yehuda thing. This is multiple investigators. By the way, I have all the papers, and I'm still offering this to those who want them. Send a self-addressed stamped envelope, and I'll send you the papers, and you'll be able to go and have, at least in your hand, all the information I had in mind when I brought this to you. So, we bring the CEO of a company called Body Bio on the show. He happens to be half of the Kane team, Patricia Kane and Edward Kane. And we had been settled with that for the last 5 weeks so forth, talking about fish oil. But in my reading, and that's really what this has turned into, an exciting new set of discoveries in the world of the alternative, that just every time you turn the page, another blurb comes out, and it rocks you. And so, in my reading, what I had come across was this issue of cancer. I brought it to you on Wednesday, when after my reading, I could make another bold statement, sort of like on the fish oil thing. I said, there is only, I repeat now, as I did then, there is only one cause of cancer. I went into a lengthy discussion as to why that cause is not genetic, and it is not. And I cited the researchers over and over again, these are members, respected members of the scientific community. Dr. Robert Weinberg, who was the original investigator who came up with the term oncogene. So he was like the father of blaming genetics as the cause for cancer, he retracted that all. 10 years after he originally proposed it in 1998 by saying that there's so many mathematical combinations needed to cause a cell to mutate that genetically you can't have that passed on. There's just not enough combinations and permutations to allow that to happen. Now, I can't really get into the minutiae of I think what Weinberg and the rest of his articles would say. Nonetheless, if the guy who proposed the oncogene explanation then comes and says, sorry, I'm wrong, there's no way that genetics can be the cause, you got to go with it, folks. And then, of course, I gave you the statement from Dr. John Mendelsohn, who is nothing more than the president and CEO of the MD Anderson Cancer Center down in Houston, Texas, who stated that any claims that the genetic research is going to be the key to curing cancer are not appropriate. And so one after another, I'm not going to go to the other side. So how was it that we were able to say there's only one cause for cancer? It is known, it has never been refuted, although attempts have been made to try to do so. And this comes to the work of a gentleman by the name of Otto Warburg. That's W-A-R-B-U-R-G. So Google him up. You'll find out he won the Nobel Prize for this very theoretical expression at the time, which was there's only one cause for cancer. That's Otto Warburg, the Nobel Prize winner, not Dr. Dennis Courtney out here in McMurray, PA. It's Warburg. And won the prize for his postulations that the only way that a cell can become cancerous is if the oxygen levels within the cell drop below a 35% threshold. So theoretically, I said, what if the normal level of oxygen in the cell should be 100 millimeters of mercury, okay? What if it should be 100? Then you better never let the oxygen content of that cell drop below 65, or Otto Warburg says it's not like maybe you're going to have cancer result from it. It is absolutely always going to occur. These are heavy statements to be made on the subject of cancer, staring us in the face for years. How is it that the scientific community knows all too well that the Warburg work is irrefutable at this point? Never has it not held up to scientific scrutiny, yet we have a medical profession that seems to be disconnected from it, and we get all sorts of explanations each and every week. And who knows what they're going to tell us causes cancer this week, when in fact, to bring this into focus and make it something that's understandable, if it could be reduced to something so, I will say, as a common denominator as oxygen content, why is it that it's left so clouded and misunderstood? So, with respect to the only cause for cancer, yes, there's only one, and that is not permitting oxygen levels to drop within the cell below a 35% threshold. Warburg says if you do let it drop below there, you will always have the cell develop cancer. And once developed, then all the oxygen in the world is not going to be able to restore those cells to normal function. Once they have mutated and gone off into this hypermetabolic division component that cancers do have, then it can't be retrieved at that point. So then that begs another question. If that's the case, and if there's only one cause for cancer, then there is only one way to prevent that cancer, and that is to assure the cell that a constant amount of optimal oxygen level is always maintained. Now this is where I'd like to spend a few moments today, because this is the real beauty that you as a listener to this show and a individual who pursues alternative approaches to everything really have a winner now, because you certainly are in control of determining whether you're ever going to get cancer or not. And by maintaining the level of oxygen within the cell, you should be able to do that without a problem. How so? Well, to have that discussion, we really have to talk about two oxygenation phenomena. The first one is oxygenation of the blood. We've got a whole genre now of physical devotees that do, well, they do biking, they do running, they do swimming, they do skiing, they do every cardiovascular activity you can name of. They are literally machines able to entrain a tremendous amount of oxygen into the blood and move that throughout all the tissues of the body. But here's the disconnect, folks. Getting the oxygenation or getting the oxygen into the blood doesn't mean diddly squat about being able to get oxygen into the cell. Athletes, very good athletes, superb and excellent athletes, have the same cancer rates as everybody else. So there's something wrong here. How can that be? How can it be that people that are literally machines in terms of getting oxygen into their bodies seem to get cancer at the same rates as everybody else? Well, can't you tell? The answer is they may be able to get it into the blood. Oxygenating the blood is one thing, but oxygenating the cell is something completely different. And that derangement is not being worked on by the athlete or anybody else. What determines how that oxygen can enter the cell is truly the answer to the question, there's only one way that you can prevent a cancer. You must be able to transport oxygen through the cell membrane into the inside of that cell. The cell membrane is a bilipid layer. Folks, here we come. Here's the common denominator. It is fats that determine that oxygen can or cannot be able to get into the cell. It is the fatty acid content of the cell membrane itself that determines whether the door of the cell is going to be opened, and that door is the cell membrane, or it's going to remain shut. And so the integrity of the cell membrane is the barrier that will have to be dealt with in order to correct an oxygenation issue. Turns out, and so here we come, full circle now, how is it that you can improve and make certain that the cell membrane allows the free passage of oxygen both into and out of it? And that is, you have to have the correct ratio of fatty acids in the cell membrane itself. And the cell membrane is mainly comprised of omega-6s, and it mainly is comprised first of the parent oil of linoleic acid. That when you provide the body with the right quantities of linoleic acid, as well as alpha-linolenic acid, but that's the omega-3 component. If you provide the body with the right amount of the omega-6s, the omega-6s are those are the fatty acids that cause structural changes within the membrane. The omega-3s do not. That's another heavy statement that scientific research has now revealed, at least to me in my reading, that make this thing clearer than it ever has been before. Omega-3s are not involved, or are only minimally involved, with the integrity of the cell membrane. It is all omega-6s. So this thing that we've been told about how bad omega-6s are for us, this is wrong. You need a vast array of omega-6s, but you in particular need the basement parent compound, and your body will make the rest if you at least provide it with the parent. You have to provide the body with linoleic acid, which is sunflower oil or primrose oil, giving it the ability to manufacture whatever derivative it requires. If ultimately that requires that when you use omega-3s and omega-6s from the parent compounds, that you're going to need some DHA and EPA, it better be supplied from the parent derivative and not you giving yourself an external dose of either EPA or DHA. This is why we said that fish oils can be harmful, because you're taking in a derivative. You're taking in a pretty sophisticated fatty acid instead of having your body derive the level of EPA and DHA it needs by utilizing the parent compounds that you could be providing it. So, how best to take care of this cell membrane is to make certain that you've got the right ratio of 4:1 of omega-6s to omega-3s, that they be found in the right parent compounds, that the omega-6 parent compound is linoleic acid, which happens to be either sunflower or primrose, and the omega-3 side, alpha-linolenic acid, the representative parent compound, which is flaxseed oil, in that ratio, and your body will do the rest. And over time, you will change the structure of the cell membrane to make it optimal, and it is the omega-6 content of the structure of the membrane that freely allows oxygen to pass in through it and get into the cell. That's how. And that is the only way to prevent a cancer. Get that free flow of oxygen to the cell. You do so by making certain that the omega-6 content of the cell membrane is at optimal, and you can only do so by providing it with the parent compound of the omega-6s, which is the primrose or sunflower. And there it is. Knock on the door. Come on in the store. Hello, welcome aboard. What's on your mind?
Morning, Dr. Courtney.
Oh, there you are.
Well, I have to throw my 2 cents into this.
Go ahead.
I did have a conversation the other day with Dr. David Sass,
Okay.
and he's still chewing on this.
You'll have to read the articles. David Sass he's a scientist.
I'll be in into your office, I think, this Wednesday, and I'm going to pick up those abstracts you have.
Oh, good.
Because I'm kind of flying blind without the specific information in those articles. So, but I mean, I'm getting your condensation of it, but of course I'm still having a difficulty with the ratio thing, only from the standpoint, I pulled out a couple of my bottles. I have a salmon oil and I have a marine lipid oil. And the salmon oil has 400 milligrams of DHA, EPA combined. So the remainder of this is based on 2 capsules, 2,000 milligrams. So the remainder is other oil, which I'm not sure exactly, but I think it is mostly 6 with some arachidonic in it, because they don't disclose that on the label. So you have 1,600 milligrams of the salmon oil is other oils, 400. So that's a 4-to-1 ratio, actually.
Well, no, but I don't want you to get sidetracked here. I think what you're trying to do. Look, you cannot. If what I say is true, and please take the papers I give you and pass them on to Dr. Sass. He's a man of science.
Yes, he is.
And so, as a scientist, he's going to come to the same conclusions that I will, because you can't do otherwise. And so, because we've been in the fish oil realm for so long, you can no longer justify, in my opinion, you can no longer justify taking in these derivatives, which are straight EPA and DHA, and having a health benefit come from it.
Well, there are products out there that are like just EPA and just DHA and other omega derivatives, if you will. But when you express whole body fish oil, then you're getting the whole, the whole mix of oils in that organism.
Well, let's put it to you this way then. Let's say because you want to be telling me about what other incipient oils are in there. You don't really know what they are, but you go, you know what, they may be this.
Some of them are incipient oil.
Okay, so they may be actually, what if all the other oils in your fish oil are actually in I'm just saying theoretically, what if they're actually in this nice little 4-to-1 ratio, and what if they actually are linoleic to alpha-linolenic, okay? Well, that would be the ideal situation, right? But you can't, so by virtue of the incipients, that you don't even know what they are, but I'm just giving you an assumption, let's assume they are linoleic and alpha-linolenic, and they're in the 4-to-1 ratio. The harm to come to you from the derivatives, the EPA and the DHA, can never be overcome by you taking those smaller amounts of the incipients. It's the DHA and EPA that are actually harmful. So why do you cling? It sort of reminds me, remember...
why in the prostaglandin scheme in the cascade are these I'm taking them mostly because they're anti-inflammatory. When you get down to the cell membrane, that's another story in respiration, because the membrane itself isn't just a lipid bilayer. It is a fluid mosaic.
Oh, it
is so complicated.
Oh, it actually is less complicated now to me than it ever was before. So,
because of you, I started diving into this.
Yeah. No, you're right about terms of fluidity and things like that. It's constantly changing because you must continue daily to bring in the replacement to make this membrane healthy. And unfortunately, if you're bringing in the wrong ingredients, you aren't making that membrane healthy at all. You're making it very unhealthy, and I believe that's why the fish oil gig is finally up in my mind. And hopefully when you get these articles, and Dr. Sass gets these articles, and I don't think you maybe even caught the comment I made to our famous lady caller earlier today, which was it'll only be a matter of time before let's say Dr. Steven Sinatra, just a prestigious, absolutely brilliant doctor who is now promoting fish oil, as so many of us have. But it's only going to be a matter of time before he's going to have to go back and eat those works. And the reason why the time is up is because the alternative medical community, of which I'm a participant, through its organizations, and the biggest one of all is A4M. That's the American Academy for the Advancement of Anti-Aging Medicine, okay? They meet, 3,000-4,000 doctors strong every year in Las Vegas, and the topics that are being discussed in their agenda are now, fish oil will kill you, fish oil is hazardous, and all the scientific papers are coming to them. It will...
It's all based on outcomes. So what you're saying, there's a shift because they're seeing different outcomes than they anticipated?
No, I think that the biochemical folks have finally... This information has always been out there. The medical profession just hasn't been...
People are either getting benefit from fish oil or they're not, but I don't think it's that clear cut. I don't think you'll admit to that either. Here again, there's no longevity study outside of Inuits and Eskimos and people who somehow or other sustain themselves on these oils.
But they're eating the fish. They're not...
It's down to rancidity. I think these are unsaturated.
Oh, you keep throwing another concept. You're getting so bogged down in scientific minutiae. Look, I think I also told you, and I didn't know this too, that it is almost unbelievable to me. In one capsule, if I read this right, and I'm going to go check, in one capsule, it takes 17 fish, okay?
Yeah, but these are Manhattan, sardines, anchovies.
No, they aren't these tiny fish. These are big fish. It takes 17 big fish. Not the anchovies, no.
What article you read, but marine lipids are made from small fish, marine lipid concentrate. Now, when you go to salmon oil, you got a bigger fish.
Yeah, you do have a big one. Absolutely. And then you got to worry about mercury issues besides. But that's neither here nor there. I don't want to get bogged down into it. You, please, when...
The devil is always in the details, Dr. Courtney, and you are certainly, you're stirring up the gravy here.
Oh, I am.
But it's a good thing, and I'll tell you why, because it's going to make us all do our homework. there's a lot of good stuff out there, but it's trying to keep it all in proper perspective, which is, here again, I think moderation in all things, but you may be more aware that these omega-3s are a lot more potent than I gave them credit to. And there's all kinds of layers of understanding here that I'm in the process of upgrading my own thinking.
I'm going to bring your level up of understanding, and it'll start with those papers when you come to the office, or make sure you leave with a set of them.
Okay.
And that'll start you on your way. Last thing I'll tell you, I'll throw another new monkey wrench into this because
Please do.
and that is the omega-3s are not supposed to be involved in the structure of the membrane at all. And I didn't know that, and so I'm going to pass it on to you.
Well, I'll tell you, I have a text before me from 2008. This thing is quite a tome, okay, and it has a whole chapter on lipid membranes, okay, and their drawing, that bilayer, if you look into the bilayer, there's two tails. There's a head and a tail makes up a unit.
I know what you're talking about.
The two tails, one was drawn as being saturated and the other one is unsaturated. And actually in the drawing they were using an omega-9. But so there is unsaturated tails involved in the fatty acids. Any fatty acid could be incorporated into a tail, and depending on what your diet is, that is, I think they've shown in animal husbandry.
You missed my point. You missed it. You missed my point, and we shouldn't have.
Well, you're saying all saturated. I'm saying.
No, I didn't say saturated. I said omega-3s. We're talking about omega-3s and omega-6s. My point to you, and we'll leave you with it today, is that integrity of the cell membrane, the structure of a cell membrane, is only comprised of the omega-6s. Omega-3s don't play a role in it. If you're going to heavy up with omega-3s of EPA and DHA, you force the membrane to incorporate omega-3s into its structure that should not be there. I'm a little ahead of you on this, I admit. I'll let you come up to speed. We'll have it in
my textbook with me. I'll show you some of these drawings.
Oh, you show me all you want. I'll bring up my books. We'll take a look at each other's pictures. Okay? Stick with the concepts. Always glad to hear from you. Okay. The wars go on, folks. Hey, you can't shake the building when things have been so nice and easy for so long to come in with these statements and not expect it. I enjoy it. Please bring it on. Science will rule the day. We'll just let science settle a bit. Another knock on the door. Come on, the store. Hello, and welcome aboard. What's on your mind?
Good morning, Dr. Courtney. Regarding the 4-to-1 ratio, how do you keep, if you're taking, say, a couple tablespoons a day, how do you keep that level in your body when you're using other oils throughout the day in your food and cooking?
Well, now you really brought in that. You know, we've not even brought in the diet once. We never did it before, but now you bring in the real killer, because if you're using adulterated oils, and unless they're the parent oils, any oil you can name, would you say, how about oleic acid, fatty acid, which is olive oil, okay? Or how about Wesson? How about corn oil? How about peanut oil? All these oils are used in cooking at all times, correct? And as a result, they are adulterated, and they screw up the entire 4-to-1 ratio that should be existing in the body every time you use an adulterated oil. So now it comes to the fact, what kind of oils should be used in your daily diet, and they should be the saturated oils, and the saturated oils are, the best representative are things like coconut oil. That kind of saturated oil will not have any harm to it at all. That's not adulterated, that's pure. But any of the other oils are adulterated, and especially if you cook with them, you break them down into compounds that are not even recognizable. So,
I cook with, because coconut oil has such a strong flavor, it changes the taste, say, like if you're stir-frying vegetables or something, I use extra virgin, organic, all of those.
No, it's too late. That'll break down if you're gonna cook with that. You can break down. How about? Hey, do you remember? As I remember as a child, my mom used to have like this can that sat next to the stove. Lard. Do you remember lard? Okay. And every house, I know, I had it. And anytime anybody needs to cook, they use the lard. That is a saturated fat that comes from animal oil, and believe it or not, it's probably one of the better cooking oils you'll ever use because it does not break down. It holds up, and it maintains its integrity. And far be it from me to really scare you out of your wits today, but if you took, and as has been done, a piece of plaque from the inside of an artery, what you will find is there is no saturated fat in that artery at all, ever. And so this thing about bacon and lard and coconut oil never can be harmful to you because it isn't taken up and make these lesions. That's something that's completely misunderstood by the public. So that's another concept that I think rocks you a bit, where I'm going to promote the use of things like coconut oil and bacon grease and lard as being healthy. Actually,
like grass-fed butter in there?
Butter. Absolutely absolutely perfect. Butter is a natural saturated fat. Okay?
Okay.
More on the subject. Thanks for the call. We'll pick it up next week, folks. Don't forget Doug Inglesby on Monday. You have a wonderful week. Get these articles. Come on. Send me your self-addressed stamp envelopes. The conversation will continue. I'll bring Ed Kane back in the near future, too. Till then, this is Dr. Dennis Courtney saying so long for an impact on your health.
KM Impact on Your Health is sponsored by Dennis J. Courtney, MD, Director of the Courtney Medical Group, located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray, Pennsylvania. For more information or to make an appointment, call 724-942-3002. That's 724-942-3002 for Dennis J. Courtney, MD.